morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from worldwide. I'm Sterling. It's great to have you back on the channel. As always, these shows are provided for entertainment purposes only. All the information I share with you comes real time through my guides, angels, extended spiritual counsel, ETs, famous people from history. So for entertainment purposes only. Also, if you just remember to like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, all those things truly help the channel. Greatly appreciated. For those who need to reach me, go to sterlingpsychicmedium.com. Look for the book session tab. There are dates available now in June, July, and August of 2025. And last but not least, if you want to join our live streams on Friday mornings, Pacific time zone, you can join our Platinum membership. It gives you instant access to hundreds of educational and instructional videos, as well as access to our live streams on Fridays, where I answer a plethora of questions from a lot of Platinum members. So welcome, everybody. Thanks for all of that little housekeeping out of the way. If you're new to the channel, just real quickly, we garner questions from our community board. Requests go out on Mondays. I think there were another 400 to 500 questions again this week. My wife goes through them, screens them down to a group of questions that we can kind of get through here at a timetable on these shows. I think today there's like 71 questions, if I remember correctly. So without any further delay, let's get going here. Question 71, this came up a lot. Does Jimmy Carter have a message for us? And just so I think it was the 39th president, recently passed away. I know I did some predictions on some prior shows and saying he would reach his 100th birthday. He would actually vote in the election. And, he's a wonderful human being, a wonderful soul. A lot of people asked, does he have a message for us? So I did sit down this morning and scribe some notes, communicating with him. And I'll tell you what came through. He wants us to know that he selected this time in history to exit the planet because this is the time all of the founding fathers of the nation are reconvening in heaven to assist with the development and moving forward of the nation during this important rebirth cycle in history. He believes he will act as the best conduit for taking universal information and interpreting it for those in heaven so that we can take appropriate action to make sure elections, in fact, worldwide, are safeguarded and that the truth always comes out in life. He completely values the time he is spending with Rosalind and his extended family. He is happy for all of the wonderful things he sees that humanity will experience in the period coming up over the next few decades, and he will be an enthusiastic observer to all of the great rewards we will experience in the world. Prior to his departure, he spent time on his exit with over 1 million people on the planet that have been selected to help him with all the great work he will facilitate from the other side. He's sending love and light and pushing for great possibilities for everyone, for the future, and for everyone on the planet, including all extraterrestrials. Interesting. And I've read on Jimmy before, and I know that he actually had communications with extraterrestrials at various times in history. So wonderful human being, wanted to get that message out. A lot of people are asking if President Jimmy Carter had a message for us, and that's what he relayed this morning for all of you. So number 70 in the countdown. Hello, Sterling. Happy New Year. I've noticed a lot of arrests around the world and protests in Europe and arrests in the U.S. made by the FBI in regards to Russia events taking place last month. And most people think some of this could be connected with what's going on in the U.S. When you mentioned the election interference being revealed, was it connected to what's going on in the world as well, or are these just coincidences? Actually, what I get is that they are connected in the way that they're all trying to create disruptions and distractions. So it is related in terms of an overall process of trying to circumvent kind of election results and hide interference. And this is a worldwide problem, not just for the US, but in that way, it is connected, creating distractions and disruptions. 69 in the countdown. Hello, Sterling. Do you see big changes happening in the healthcare industry anytime soon? A lot of nurses and doctors are quitting. Private equity in hospitals is becoming very dark and is shutting down hospitals across the US. I do pick up substantial changes coming in 2026. So it won't happen in 2025 this year, but more significant changes starting out in 2026, kind of a revamping of the healthcare landscape, how it's funded, how it's organized. So some big changes are coming, but you'll start to see those more starting out in 2026. 68 in the countdown. Hello, Sterling and team. I have heard that a search was conducted on Jeff Bezos' mega yacht, the $500 million yacht. What were they looking for, and did they find it? Was it part of the election process? I get this is just more of a routine search and discovery that's done like on a semi-regular basis on mega yachts. I think this is down in St. Bart's, but I get this is more routine than it was like somehow connected with any nefarious acts. 67. Hi, Sterling and team. What is the future for artificial intelligence? Do you see this as being more of an important part of our lives going forward? Well, it'll be integrated into absolutely every aspect of our lives. It'll be as ubiquitous as electricity. So, whether you have direct interactions with AI or indirect, because let's say you're doing a banking transaction and there's an AI intelligence in the back end trying to help you with the transaction, but it will be as ubiquitous as electricity is right now. So, it's a part of our lives, it's a part of the Earth plan, part of Gaia, part of the overall life plan. It's coming. 66. Hello, Sterling. Why is 45 holding a victory rally the night before inauguration in DC? Is it just grifting or is he plotting something nefarious again? I get he wants a lot of his followers around in an effort to create a backlash against anything that he feels is not going to support the full inauguration. So it's actually these supporters are not there for no reason. They're there to provide kind of a backdrop and push forward a bit of an agenda coming up here. So yeah, this is all being done very strategically by 45. 65. Hi, Sterling. Can you please ask your guides if there was cheating or election interference in California, as there were 10 blue House seats that went to the Republicans? So I do pick up like in the same interference that's taken place worldwide and even the presidential 2024 election that there's interference that actually went all the way down ballot. So the same kinds of systems, back end systems that were used to create interference, and I'm gonna tell you, false results did go down ballot, and they actually did affect California as well. Yes. 64 after 45 is decertified from office. We talked about this on some prior shows. Are the Republicans who are elected in the House and Senate also subject for removal secondary to the election interference? Yes. And, I remember right after the election, a lot of people were asking me, right, what's going on right after the election in November. And my team said, keep in mind, nothing is as it seems. So the results you're seeing are not accurate. Nothing is as it seems is playing out. So yes, this will affect down ballot. And that's kind of the question here, right? Yeah. Well, so a lot of what's going on across the elections in Congress will also be affected, and they'll be reviewed and re-examined, and it's all part of a larger process that's going to play out. 63 in the countdown. Hello, Sterling. In winter of 2017, my dog started barking around 1:30 a.m., so I took him outside. I saw a geometric shaped spaceship hovering directly over the building next to mine. There were static blue lights and white lights rotating. The ship shifted into the same unusual shape of the building's roof. What did I see? So this is one of several extraterrestrial drones that are doing surveillance around the world, around the country, and you actually witness. Now, this is back in 2017, but keep in mind that this type of surveillance and assistance from extraterrestrials has been going on for actually hundreds of years, but only maybe more witnessed in local time. But back in 2017, a lot of surveillance going on even at that time. 62, hello Sterling, was Suchir Balaji, and that's Suchir, Suchir, sorry if I mispronounced that, the OpenAI whistleblower's death a suicide, and if not, will those involved be caught? I don't get this was a suicide. I get this was a actually racially motivated murder. Okay, I'll say it right out. And I do get that the individuals will be caught, and there's like camera footage of who the individuals were, and the camera footage might be from blocks away or wherever the incident occurred. But this will be solved. But I understand that this individual is a whistleblower for, let's say, OpenAI, but there's some anger here, and it feels like it's racially motivated. So very unfortunate. I'm sending a lot of love and light to his family, but the perpetrators will be caught. 61. Hello, Sterling, were the husband and wife who live at the Virginia home where the FBI seized over 150 explosive devices involved in any events surrounding the January 6, 2021 insurrection event. I do feel they're connected with it in some way. So actually, like reinforcing efforts or providing support, kind of in the back end. And it does. My team saying that whatever they had planned was also coming up for January 6th of 2025. So some sort of a disruption here with a lot of these 150 devices that were found by the FBI. So yeah, there's a direct connection to disruption around the insurrection event 2021 and what was going to be coming up. 60 in the countdown. Hello, Sterling and team. A former CIA targeted stated, well, I'm sorry, former CIA targeter stated on a well-known podcast recently that Al Qaeda has about 1,000 soldiers in the U.S. and will carry out terrorist attacks on U.S. soil in 2025. Do you and your team see this happening? Well, I do see a large number of installed, not just Al Qaeda, but ISIS fighters that are installed around the country, and they're going to create pockets of difficulty for law enforcement. There is something that's coming up. So yeah, I do see that these are planted, if you will. These individuals, Al Qaeda and ISIS is what I'm seeing. But this is actually going to be shut down, and it looks like the FBI already knows. In fact, a lot of the drone surveillance that was going on is part of this research that was being done by law enforcement. A lot of the drone sightings people saw all over the country. But remember, a lot of my team was saying that these are like military intelligence surveillance going on, but also working with other intelligence agencies. Yeah, so it's true they're installed, but it's not going to get necessarily out of hand. Okay. 59. Will the decertification include any House or Senate seats? Yes, and I think we touched on this, so it might be a little bit of a redundancy here, but yes, there are going to be a lot of down ballot elections that are going to be looked at when all of the interference is released to the public, the methods that were used. 58. Hi, Sterling. Do you see any regulation of international cybercrime being implemented? I know the UN General Council recently adopted a treaty, so I was wondering if this will be effective. Are there any necessary steps needed to be successful with this? This is gonna part and parcel. A lot of artificial intelligence algorithms going to be implemented, and a lot of back end systems to look worldwide at a lot of cybercrime. So over the next few years here, as artificial intelligence gets implemented, a lot of the back end systems, data centers worldwide, the ability of cybercrime to be effective is going to be really mitigated. Okay, so yeah, there are good things happening here. And I do see significant investments being made worldwide right now, US, other countries, implementing AI systems that are going to go after cybercrime. 57. In 2019, during 45's last term, it was reported that there were many pregnant women from Russia, China, and other countries coming to the U.S. to have their children, thus giving the children U.S. citizenship. Is there some devious underlying reason for this? Well, yeah, in part, there's a way, this is a way to integrate foreign individuals into the US, into, becoming US citizens. Yeah, it's all part of a much larger, I got to tell you, a many, many decade strategy going on by offshore countries to kind of infiltrate the U.S. There's a lot of ongoing strategies and ways to try to get control of, one of the most powerful, countries in the world, the United States. So this is all ongoing, and it was all being done to benefit foreign powers. Again, this is knowledge that's shared by a lot of intelligence agencies worldwide. But yes, it wasn't just to say during 2019, it's been going on for many decades. 56. What is the future of housing for the younger generation over the next few decades? What will housing look like after 3 decade reset? And what should we be aspiring or manifesting right now? There's a lot of things coming up around housing. So to put aside a little bit the financial aspects, those are going to come under control, meaning we'll see reductions in interest rates coming. It's another year out, something like that, in order for that to start happening. But this person's asking about a 3 decade reset. If you look at a 3 decade reset, 3D printing of houses is going to become very substantial. You can see a lot of 3D printing housings, faster, more economical ways to produce houses. You won't be able to tell the difference. These 3D houses will look like conventional construction. It'll be done so well. There's also other options coming for living inside mountains, underground, underwater. In the 3 decade reset, lots of new housing coming. And by the way, the housing that gets built inside mountains or underground or underwater will be far more efficient than those above ground. A lot of options coming in the 3 decade reset. So expect that. And it'll actually be a wonderful thing. Many people, I think, are pessimistic about the future, but it's actually going to be a wonderful thing when it all plays out. 55. Hello, Sterling. Will Tesla ever go bankrupt? No, I don't see this happening, but I do see a shift in a lot of resources more towards underground shuttle systems, like what they're tunnel systems, like what they're seeing in Las Vegas. More EVs for mass transportation and trucking and automated taxi cabs and transport. So it'll be a shifting a bit. But they're not saying to me, my team is not saying to me that Tesla will go bankrupt, but they're actually going to kind of shift the focus. 54. Hello, Sterling. Will the candidates that were cheated out of their respective seats be able to civilly file lawsuits against those that instigated the cheating, and will they be able to recoup damages? No. So actually, a lot of this is going to come out. There'll be a lot of lawsuits to come out, but it's going to be this actually a lot of the cheating or the interference is more at a country to country level. So this person is asking whether there'll be civil lawsuits. I mean, there's going to be lawsuits, but it's not going to play out the way people think because this is like a country to country issue, okay? 53 in the countdown. Bull Sterling, can you say whether it's your soul that leaves your body during astral travel? Yes, the soul disconnects from the body, and that's actually, if you're really doing astral travel, your soul does disconnect from the body. That's how you can get into other dimensions. See lots of people you haven't seen before that crossed over. It's a technique. It's like learning how to fly an airplane. But your soul does disconnect. But obviously, you're not going to go through any kind of a death experience or a near-death experience if that's not your time. A lot of people like the analogy of a silver cord attaching your soul to your body. A lot of times, the people astral travel, they feel there's a silver cord there. That's more just imagery, but it's in fact there's a universal force and energy that connects your soul to your physical body, and that's why you end up coming back in. Okay. 52, hello Sterling, it has been reported that there have been 180 cattle missing from southwest Colorado beginning in June 2024 through the current time period. Can you please see what has been happening to these cattle? Will their owners get them back? I get this is like fundamental, what I call cattle rustling, like stealing cattle. So this is not extraterrestrials, and it looks like it's occurring over a very wide area. I don't know, 30, 40,000 acres or something, which are hard to kind of monitor. So this looks like conventional, I'm going to call it cattle rustling. Now, I think they're asking whether the cattle will be returned. It does not appear to be the case. Looks like they're stolen and then somehow protected or hidden away. And very unfortunate. 51. Hello, Sterling. There are two Republican representatives, Hillary Castle and Susan Valdez, looks like, who won their elections as Democrats and who have recently announced they are switching to the Republican Party. Will these actions be addressed and stopped? Well, no, unfortunately, I don't see these actions being stopped in the future. That is, I'm looking over the next 5 years, 10-year period. Looks like you're still going to see elements of people, let's say, running for a certain party and then switching after elected. So, yeah, I don't, I mean, it's a problem, but I don't see that for some reason the world and the US is going to effectively address this. Looks like that is going to be an area of cheating that kind of keeps going on because it looks like people are highly influenced by money and contributions and something of that nature. So it's going to be an ongoing problem for at least another decade, they're showing me. And then, actually, after a decade, it looks like for some reason there's much better vetting of candidates so that it doesn't happen. 50. Hello, Sterling. How do we find what our soul contract is? If you're referring to like one of the 12 life paths that I refer to all the time, that my team talks about, really learning how to communicate with your angelic team, your angels and guides through clairaudience, that's a great question to ask your team. If you don't have that ability built out, then meeting with a professional psychic medium can be very helpful there. But that's probably the two most fundamental ways to determine what your life path purpose is. Now, yeah, it goes across the 12 life path purposes. Those are things like teacher, healer, communicator, innovator, politician. There's a lot of different elements there. Now, we all have millions of life lessons that we're learning down here that are kind of contained within those 12 life path purposes. But, meet with a professional psychic medium or develop the clairaudience skill, communicating with your angels and guides, and they will be happy to tell you. 49. Hello, Sterling. Happy New Year. I'm wondering if there is any spiritual significance to the fact the U.S. Capitol, Washington Monument, and Empire State Building were all struck by lightning on December 31st, 2024. As energies are ramping up in our country, I've heard you say that there are no coincidences. It's interesting. I just got from my team that this actually is kind of a universal message that big things are coming to realign humanity. So it's almost like turning on a light bulb. So these lightning strikes at these three locations, I'm just getting U.S. Capitol, Washington Monument, Empire State Building, are a bit of a wake-up call for humanity. Like they're ringing the bell. The other side, the spiritual realm, is ringing the bell and saying, look up. Okay. 48. Hello, Sterling. I was very accident prone child growing up. My mother used to jokingly say that I had more than one guardian angel. My question is, are guardian angels the same as our spiritual guides? So actually, this is a congruence of several terms. My team always refers to what are called birth angels that keep you on the planet. And then there are what I call spiritual working guides that help you in all the functional lessons you're learning in life. You have health guides, healing guides, trauma guides, pragmatic guides, finance guides. So it's kind of two different concepts here, but birth angels keep you on the planet. Working spiritual guides are the ones that help you through life lessons. And I guess you're just saying, are guardian angels and guides the same thing? No, so there are birth angels and then working spiritual guides. 47. Hello, Sterling. People on social media have started sharing stories about abnormal fog that they're experiencing in different parts of the US recently. They feel it is odd for the areas they live in. Some have complained that it's causing respiratory issues. Is it normal fog or is it something else? This is an artifact of climate change. So it's going on worldwide, actually, not just in the US. And respiratory problems, I'm getting, not a doctor, but my team is just saying that has something to do with that artifacts coming down from the atmosphere. So pollution, hydrocarbons, things like that in the air coming down. That's why people are having respiratory problems. But this is not supernatural. This is all an after effect or a cumulative effect of climate change, global climate change. 46. Hello, Sterling and team. There is a company called Rumble. They are a YouTube competitor and host a great deal of MAGA shows, and their founder is often seen with Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, and Don Jr., etc. Do you see they played a part in the election interference? Will they eventually be taken down or closed for their actions? I do see the platform is financed by a lot of, let's say, GOP or far right leaning individuals. I get it. Again, this is not a political show, but they're just telling my team saying that people that say lean, maybe very far right, are financing that platform. I don't see that they had a direct role other than being, let's say, an echo chamber for a lot of the ideas and ideology. So, do see a lot of echo chamber things going on there, but not, let's say, direct involvement, kind of an interference. Okay. 45. Hello, Sterling. All of the great advances coming forward using gene editing, CRISPR technology to advance healing seem wonderful. Will any of these cures actually be affordable and accessible for the general population? Yes, absolutely. We've covered this many times on this show, but what needs to know is that there's millions of dollars being invested into these gene editing solutions. So, like any business enterprise, a lot of these companies will have to try to recoup some of that investment early on in the release of the drugs and medications. So, they're going to be somewhat expensive, certainly in the very beginning, as manufacturing ramps up and larger runs of medications are developed, the costs will start coming down. So it's like any brand new medication, anything. But yes, they'll eventually be affordable. I do see big changes at least 10 years out, right? So 10 years from now, a lot of the gene editing medications will start to be released and they've been tested, they've been proven, and you'll start to see, the prices come to reasonable levels. So it's all very true. 44. How was the creator of The Simpsons, how they've been able to include episodes that seemingly predict future events many years in advance, like Disney buying Fox, the election of 45, or technological advances like smartwatches? Is this a coincidence? Are the writers tapping into events already to unfold, or are they partially creating such events by writing them? I get they're extremely creative and they're able to kind of assimilate and stitch together a lot of creative concepts to kind of pull this together. Now, remember, it's the creative, the innovation side of the brain that connects with the universe. So, in some respects, the thoughts, the creative things they're coming up with are being, say, divinely given to them. Not necessarily, let's say, psychic mediumship, but it's a lot of creative stitching together of concepts, and it produces kind of a wonderful result, a very entertaining result. That's very true. 43. Hi, Sterling and team. Can we ask our spiritual guides and angels to communicate with the spiritual guides of others, such as friends or family members? Absolutely. It's done all the time. So it's almost like when you're connecting with your spiritual team, your angels and guides, it's almost like connecting to, like a 5G cell phone, and you can call any other 5G cell phone. So absolutely, in the spiritual realm, angels and guides cross communicate all the time. So you absolutely can, that's very true. It's effective. 42. Hi, Sterling. My question relates to predictions your team has made about several future global digital currencies. Will digital currency be based on existing cryptocurrencies that will start taking over, replacing our existing monetary system, or will it be an entirely new platform that is standardized across the world? So we never give investment advice on these shows. I just want to be clear. There are universal digital currencies coming that may have no direct relationship to those that you know now, or that we know now. Now, it'll end up being, there'll be several types of digital currencies, much the same way we have the US dollar, the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. So there are going to be different types of digital currencies. But there's going to be it's going to be not what it seems like right now. I'd be very careful here. So the new digital currencies coming up will have central regulatory agencies and have involvement like with the SEC, for example, Securities and Exchange Commission. So there's an evolution happening here, new digital currencies and different types of worldwide digital currencies. So hopefully that helps. 41. Will there ever be a way to get rid of bed bugs and cockroaches in homes or buildings that will be affordable and permanent? Exterminator charges are very expensive, and in short while they are back. So many people suffer with this problem, from businesses to private homes. I get within several years here, there's like some sonic audio wave-based technology coming that's actually going to be helpful in this area. So it's like this is like non-chemical based sonic sound wave, high frequency. It kind of reminds me of these high frequency sonic devices they use to keep mice and rodents away in buildings. But there's something here coming that actually there's like an invention or a discovery about some frequency or combination of frequencies that affect, they're asking about bed bugs and cockroaches. Yeah, there's something coming. It's only a couple of years away here, they're telling me. 40, will the US ever stop corporate donations in our elections and misinformation and media? Will we be able to trust our government in the future? We will, but this is like on a 5-year timetable before a lot of this starts getting taken care of. So the vetting out of where money comes from, to be able to track it, artificial intelligence, be able to look out a lot of systems and cross-connect trillions of pieces of data to draw logical conclusions. So we're in a 5-year timetable here, but a lot of this is going to shift. So you'll not be able to track it, but they'll start to limit corporate donations. Yeah. 39 in the countdown. Hi, Sterling. I hear so much about the ascension process and watch many people on YouTube talk about the process, and they all have different ways and say their way is the way. I find it fascinating, confusing, yet feel we'll all ascend in our own way. Please tell me what you or your team think about all of this. So, the concept is completely overblown, but I mean that in a good way. We talk about the 3-decade reset going on right now, the year 2020, 2020 to 2050. Now, during that time period, everything's going to be more highly spiritual. There's an awakening process, the thinning of the veil to the other side. More people will talk directly with their angels and guides. That's all part of what's called the ascension process. This is not something that's a magical where the 8 billion people worldwide are all going to magically, ascend. This is a gradual evolution. Think about it as a gradual evolution, connecting more spiritually, moving into a love space where you accept more about humanity. This is really what the ascension is all about. So I would say my team lovingly says, kind of this whole concept's overblown. Everybody's going to do it in their own unique way. Everybody's progressing during this 3-decade reset, and it's a wonderful thing. 38. What have the extraterrestrials recognized in humanity that inspires them to support and preserve us? So Earth is a universal laboratory, and this is a way that they actually are supporting the growth of Homo sapiens sapiens. Now, I have to tell you that if I take a step back, all this is laid out by the one source, the one force. So sometimes people will say, well, why would extraterrestrials be so involved? Or why are there extraterrestrials? Well, it all started out with the one source, the one force. This is the way the universe was put together. But extraterrestrials play an important role in advancing humanity, Homo sapiens sapiens. And for some reason, it actually complements the development of love in the universe. So as humanity, interesting enough, learns more about love, how to love themselves, love the world, and become more connected to spirituality, angels and guides, the universe, other dimensions, that somehow helps the universe overall. So, this is actually a plan laid out by the one source, the one force. 37, do you see college and university degrees being completely abolished as many companies are foregoing degree criteria for skill-based requirements? If so, will the whole concept of college and university be abolished? I don't see the concept or college universities being abolished. I do see a really substantive shift towards understanding how to use artificial intelligence skills, how to think out of the box, how to adopt and adapt to a changing world. It looks like a whole new kind of curriculum is going to be developed, a whole new approach. You might think about learning oversimplistically. If you think about the past, kind of everybody's like learning in a box. Everybody do it this way, and then you get this result. And I see a lot more out of the box thinking and integration of like artificial intelligence into curriculums in the world. Understanding, a whole member gene editing and CRISPR technology is a real, what I call frame breaking technology, really is a big new level set for humanity. So colleges and universities are going to adopt and adapt to kind of a new changing world. 36. Can people who have taken their own life in despair help their loved ones from the other side? Are they allowed? Yes, but doesn't necessarily work this way. So remember, family members or loved ones are still your family members and loved ones on the other side. They don't have necessarily the expertise to do what's called the heavy lifting in life. That's your birth angels, that's your guides. They've actually gone through lots of training, lots of us, lots of reincarnations, so to speak, in terms of guides have to develop those skills. So the criteria is not necessarily whether someone, say, took their own life or didn't, can they help? If someone did take their own life, that's part of their life path. You don't get off the planet if it's not your exit point. But not necessarily anything more special or not than them being a loved one or a family member because they don't do the heavy lifting. They give you love, they endorse, they try to support you, try to help move you forward. But remember, it's your angelic team that we all have that helps you with really achieving all the important things you have on your life path. Anyway, people that, let's say, commit suicide or take their life, never prevented from sending you love and compassion and support, but that's not their primary reason, let's say, for being on the other side. Hello, Sterling. This is 35 now. Hello, Sterling. Will Hakeem Jeffries become Speaker of the House? I see yes, eventually within 2025. 34. Why does fasting seem to help make a connection with the spiritual world much more clear? It's not necessarily true, but it does help calm the body down. So when you think about people, let's say, that take in alcohol or excessive amounts of sugar, what you're really fasting, this person's asked about fasting here, it really has more to do with calming down your metabolism. Okay. So it's not really, say, a direct spiritual connection, but it's more like increasing your receptivity to messages and spirituality if you're coming from a calm, centered space. 33 in the countdown. Hello, Sterling. I was curious to find out if divinity rods, dowsing rods, are a real thing. I purchased them and followed the directions to align my energy by saging them, praying over them, and grounding them, and even sleeping with them in my bed. What am I doing wrong? So remember that these are what are classified as tools, right? So connecting with your angelic team, I always talk about starting off with developing the clairaudient side and get real-time communication with your team. That's where it all starts from. Then when you integrate tools, tarot cards, dowsing rods, pendulums, whatever you like, you're really leveraging that communication channel. So a lot of time people try to put the cart before the horse. So again, in an interesting way, I always talk about when you develop that clairaudient side, you're developing like a clear 5G cellular channel to your team, and that communication is much easier for anything else you're using in life. If you don't have a clear communication channel, then what you end up with is what I call sporadic information. It's not reliable, or you get 3 yeses, then a no. Well, what's the right answer? And so that's like sporadic information. Okay, 32 in the countdown. Hello, Sterling. When we all refer to the one source, one force, does that apply to our universe or all universes? So it applies to the universe. So actually, when you think about the term universe, that's everything contained therein. So there's really only one universe that contains everything. And yes, the one source, the one force is aligned to the universe. And many times people refer to the multiverse, which is a bit of mythology. In a funny way, sometimes people in the video game industry refer to the multiverse. But the universe is everything all containing, and it's infinite and it's growing. But the one source, the one force is connected to the universe. 31. Greetings, Sterling. Happy New Year. As we approach the time when we all connect with the galactic beings, extraterrestrials, can you please ask what should we expect? How can we best prepare ourselves? Will any of the beings show themselves to us? So, I would say read as much as you can about extraterrestrial sightings and engagement. There's millions of stories worldwide. They tend to be much higher elevated in that, you can kind of think about them as more like no nonsense. they're certainly highly evolved in a way that they accept all of humanity, all the things that humanity wrestles with down here, they don't even think twice about, I have to tell you. And it's actually best to keep distance, right? So uh, there'll be extraterrestrials, many, that will be integrated with government, and they're going to be out in public. But it's just a cautionary tale. I'd say read as much as you can, watch as many shows as you can, familiarize yourself with the different species, and all this will be helpful. This is all part of an ongoing indoctrination for humanity as they come back out in public again, just like they have thousands of years ago. 30. Happy New Year, Sterling and team. Is it true that U.S. companies have been reverse engineering captured extraterrestrial technology for decades? Are there black programs, highly classified programs that have gone rogue and are using ET technology or reverse engineered technology for nefarious purposes and are operating unknown to the White House, Congress, other military organizations? Will this information be revealed publicly soon? So yes, there are black ops groups, highly specialized groups that are working inside the government. In fact, all world governments worldwide. Not all the information is shared with the majority of Congress, of political figures, for a variety of reasons, just because it's specialized information, really kind of on a need-to-know basis. But yes, there is technology that's been reverse engineered, has been for many, many decades, even some hundreds of years here. And yes, so a lot of that's true, but many individuals, let's say in the White House, selected presidents over the years have been indoctrinated and are communicating and have communicated with extraterrestrials, understand kind of the reverse engineered technology programs. President Jimmy Carter was one of them. Okay, we talked about that earlier in the show. 29. Hello, Sterling. I always wondered if King Arthur and Merlin really ever existed. If so, where did Camelot exist? England or maybe Scotland? Will any proof ever be found, or was this just a tale myth passed down? I get this. This was all Welsh mythology. Okay, so not true, but some great stories. 28. Hello, Sterling. Can you please tell me how Australia will be in 2025? I still get very gradual, slow growth for the economy. But over the next year to 2 years here in Australia, it looks like real income growth will take place. That is people's relative increase in income to prices. So it's like there's like a real, like in a couple of percent every year, an increase in, say, real income, real growth is going to happen. It can be a little difficult here, but I also see greater investments by other world nations, even like the US, in investments like in Australia that will help create some new industries, whether it's green technology or better security for the world. So it's a gradual, kind of slow as molasses kind of increase here for Australia. But to me, it looks like over the next, that 4 or 5 year period here, really feels like Australia starts to feel like they take a deep breath. It's like, wow, okay, things are, the engine of the economy is really starting to feel better to everybody. 27. Hello, Sterling. Sometimes I see a small orange orb in my bedroom at night, and sometimes I see a small blue orb of light on other nights. What are they? Or should I ask who they are? These are family members in your case coming around to check on you. So this is all very loving. These are family members that have already crossed over, come around to check with you. There's all different types of orbs, and they, relative to what their color are or their size, usually describes very accurately who they are. But in your case, these in fact, these are relatives, family members coming around to visit with you. 26 in the countdown. Happy New Year. My question is about souls and reincarnation. Since Earth souls are much younger than the praying mantis souls, will Earth souls ever reach a current advanced level like that of the praying mantis? Yes, human souls or Homo sapiens sapiens, or what's down here now, will eventually, in millions of years, get to a level that's, let's say, on par with the praying mantis extraterrestrials. The praying mantis are equivalent to ascended masters in the extraterrestrial world. They are very, um, they're wonderful beings to communicate with, and I do it with all the time. But in terms of Homo sapiens sapiens, it's millions of years here of evolution before you get to a place where you're kind of up towards that level. And not that it's even necessary, okay? But it just if I look at millions of years in the future here, there will be an evolution in humanity that gets them closer to that level. 25, when will there be a cure for sickle cell anemia and the sickle cell trait? So, if I remember correctly, we actually have done readings on this for years, believe it or not. And last year, 2023, I think was the first gene editing CRISPR breakthrough for curing sickle cell anemia. So, whoever asked this question, take a look at some of the news articles out there. There's continuing breakthroughs right now in CRISPR technology around sickle cell anemia, and that's actually one of the first diseases going to get cured pretty effectively by gene editing. So breakthroughs have already occurred. 24, Sterling, do people have phobias because something happened to them in a past life? For example, do some have a fear of flying because they may have been injured or died in a plane crash in a past life? I never see this as directly being a case. I know a lot of people talk about that. The set of lessons that you decide to learn this lifetime are part of the unique soul path you came in. Now, people can have past life memories. That's all very true. If you look at past life regressions, yes, you can call up. But phobias in particular, unless you set that out as a life path lesson for this life, it really doesn't ever string back to a prior lifetime. So it's kind of important to have a disconnect with that. I find sometimes people may try to use that in a loving way as an excuse to say, well, I've got this problem because I had it from a prior lifetime. You actually made this a lesson you wanted to learn in this lifetime. So not usually the case that the phobia, I don't ever see it, actually. It's directly connected with a prior lifetime. 23. By the way, just fundamentally, my guys remind me, it's all part of a life lesson you selected for this lifetime. That's the clear distinction. 23, in 2016, my daughter contracted an illness called PANDAS, PANDAS, pediatric autoimmune neuropsychiatric disorders associated with streptococcal infections, an autoimmune illness similar to Lyme disease. It has become a chronic condition for her. Do you see a cure ever coming? I do see they're showing me like major advances in this area by the year 2030. So right now we're 2025, roughly about 5 years out. Major advances, and then by 2032, there's like almost a cure for this. So look towards research universities, I'm being told, whoever asked this question. Keep on top of, Google searches for any kind of research that you see out there coming from major universities around these areas, because there's some breakthroughs coming here. And I do see it on a trajectory, a path towards there's a cure coming here. 22 in the countdown. There has been a significant increase in corporate donations to 45's upcoming inauguration ceremony, more so than in a typical election year. What is the real reason all of these companies and their CEOs are suddenly donating more than usual to try to appease them? What are they really afraid of? They're looking for tax benefits and legislation that will be advantageous to their corporations. So this is simply business and money, and actually trying to control restrictions on their corporations. So this has a lot of basis in monetary benefit is what's going on here. It's quid pro quo, sort of, so to speak. 21, Sterling, you stated that Kamala Harris would be in office for 2 terms. Has that changed? It still appears to eventually be the case. When it happens, when the transition happens, it still looks like a 2-term presidency to me. 20, hello, Sterling. I am 68 years old and on Social Security, Medicare, and get my 6-month periodic physicals and medications from the VA. All 3 of these programs are on the cutting block if 45 gets into office. Do you see them actually doing this? No, I don't see these programs going away. In fact, I see them actually being enhanced in the latter part of 2025 and into 2026. So I don't see them going away. But yeah, they're just showing me like enhancements even towards, say, towards the end of 2025 and getting into 2026. 19 in the countdown. Hello, Sterling. I've seen several psychic detective shows where they utilize psychometric abilities to read the crime scene residual energy to see the events as they originally transpired. How long does that energy stay active? It seems that the energy or imprint never diminishes. It actually does diminish in level over time. Think about, I'll draw an analogy here. Think about like if a house catches on fire, like a house fire. Once you put the fire out, all the walls are charred. There's a smell there. As time goes on, the smell may dissipate. People may come in and repair the home. But, it's analogous to, let's say, a large house fire. So energy does dissipate, but it still leaves an energetic imprint there. And if you're sensitive enough, if people are psychic detectives and they do this kind of work all the time, you can actually pick up on that energy for very long periods of time, even like hundreds of years, okay? And in some cases, thousands of years. But it's true. 18. Hello, Sterling and team. What do you see for Ukraine for the next 3 years? Will Ukraine join NATO and the EU? Will Ukraine be rebuilt, becoming one of the amazing countries to live in? Yeah, I actually addressed this on the prediction show that I did. I think I recorded that December 23rd, 2024. But yes, Ukraine over the next 3 years here, they're actually going to get back to independence. I did see something like 8% of the territory having to be relinquished, unfortunately, as part of a negotiation over to Russia. It is going to be a lot of countries are going to come in and make investments, help rebuild Ukraine. They'll actually end up have a tourism industry, believe it or not. But a lot of this is going to happen. And I mean, the major changes for Ukraine, in terms of like getting back to total health, is kind of over 2 decades. But it's all going to come back around again. But you see very shortly here the war winding down and a lot of good things happening. 17. Hello, Sterling. You have said if our pets have reincarnated before we cross over, we will not see them in heaven. Does that hold true as well for our parents and loved ones? Yes, for all entities. In fact, if they've reincarnated when you go back to heaven, right, they're not in heaven. Now, there are relay points for communication. You can still communicate with them. When you're in heaven, you can observe everything in the earth dimension, but it's true. Now, humans, Homo sapiens sapiens, normally don't reincarnate any faster than 80 to 100 years. It's getting a little faster. But remember, in most cases, when you cross over, your loved ones are there in almost all cases. 16 in the countdown. Hi, Sterling and team. When I was a little girl, I had an imaginary friend named Amy. She was extremely real to me, and my whole family knew about her. My question is, was Amy a product of my imagination, or was she a guardian angel, ancestor, spirit guide, or something else? Can you speak about the imaginary friends of children in general, if they sometimes are, in fact, not really imaginary? So when you're young, right, I talk about this all the time, like prior to 9 years old, everybody comes into the world with the complete ability to communicate with the other side. And that includes seeing entities, children, imaginary friends. In almost all cases, when young children are talking consistently with an imaginary friend, that's a real spirit they're interacting with. So that's all very true. In your case, Amy, it looks to me like this was a child either connected to your family or lived in that area. So this Amy you're talking about, little girl, your imaginary friend Amy, this was not an angel or a guide in your case. It can be in some cases. In your case, this was actually a child that either connected to your family here, some connections to the family my team keeps talking about here. So this might have been somebody that died and passed away at a very young age in the family. May not be your direct family, but it's related to the family. It might be a generation back. Yeah, that's what they keep telling me here. So this is, in your case, this was a child, actual child that lived. 15. Hello, Sterling. If a person is a narcissist and a sociopath in this lifetime and does not care how their behavior impacts another person's emotions or well-being, when they go through a life review after they pass, do they understand the impact and care, and do they care? Or does it have no effect on them the same as it did in life? So during your life review, you always care. You always experience all the feelings, good and bad, that you shared, expressed, and delivered to other individuals when you were here. So you absolutely do care. It's all part of the life review process in order to kind of create the long-lasting imprints on your soul DNA. That's the soul that goes lifetime to lifetime. So yeah, you do care. It's all part of the life review process. 14, the countdown. Hello, Sterling. Isn't it true that our souls don't go to heaven but reside here with us only in a different dimension? No, actually, in fact, they do transition to another dimension, the heaven dimension, moves faster than the speed of light. A dimension is not here on Earth. That actually is a whole separate dimension on the universe. Now, individuals can obviously really move. They can transport from that dimension to this dimension to communicate with us. We call loved ones in. But no, they actually it's not here on Earth. It's a whole separate dimension. Okay, I think that's what they're asking. You can move anywhere in the universe you want, but that heaven dimension is not here on Earth. 13. Hello, Sterling. There was a report of a Tesla Cybertruck exploding in front of 45's hotel in Las Vegas, Trump International. Sadly, the driver perished while engulfed in flames. Was this a flaw of the Cybertruck or intentional? Yeah, no, and I think this is all over the news. No, this is an intentional act to gain some sort of notoriety. Unfortunately, and I really have to send a lot of love and light to everybody involved in this. I think this individual had a lot of PTSD from tours overseas, but this was an intentional act. So I guess a lot of love and light to the situation. 12. Can we redesign and renegotiate our soul contract while in it since we have free will? So you don't really change your life path per se, which you came down here to accomplish and learn. But free will controls, remember the three S's, I call it, of your life path: the speed you go through your life path, the scale of achievement, and the scope of achievement. And we'll have some other videos on that down the road. But the speed, scale, and scope are the ways that free will interacts with your life path. So do you move quickly or slowly through your life path? Scale, do you affect 10 people or 10 million people while you're here? The scope, do you affect just people in your hometown? Do you affect people worldwide, all over them? So yeah, it doesn't really change. You don't really renegotiate your life path blueprint, but free will has those three S factors. 11. Hi, Sterling and team. What happened to the drones associated missing nuclear material? Yeah, this goes back weeks ago now, but the missing medical material was nuclear material used for medical devices. It was found, and I think actually FedEx returned it to the rightful owner or something here. The drones are still up and around, not being witnessed as much anymore, but that military surveillance is still ongoing. 10. Happy New Year to all. Sterling, I have a vivid memory of looking up at the sky, seeing a cloudy place of people talking. I feel like I had just left my family in the sky and thought, how did I get here? I was a toddler. What is this? Why do I still remember this? This was your last memory of the heaven dimension before coming down. And many people have the same memory. It's very common. But for those that are more highly spiritually evolved, whoever asked this question, I would not be surprised if you're a teacher healer because they maintain that kind of memory, that kind of connection. And a lot of teacher healers, oddly enough, when they come down, they're not always happy with being back down here again because they've done this before, like been there, done that, got the t-shirt. So you're actually looks like you're an older soul to me, and this is the last memory of the heaven dimension before he came down. Number 9, hello Sterling. I watched a documentary on Nostradamus the other night. That's Nostradamus. He predicted that there would be 3 antichrist humans, and it is assumed that 2 have already come and gone, Napoleon and Hitler. Is there a third still coming? And is this a person among us right now today? No, in reality, I don't get the prediction. Let's say it was an accurate prediction. So I don't get necessarily there's a third one, but we do have to certainly be well aware of everything going on around us in the political landscape and the world landscape. But I don't see that prediction necessarily accurate or should be taken verbatim. Okay. Number 8 in the countdown. Hello, Sterling. Recently, I woke in the middle of the night and heard three distinct knocks. My husband, who was awake at the time, said he never heard anything. A few days later, my husband heard three knocks in the night and asked me if I heard them. I did not. I told my sister about our experience, and she said about a week later she woke up with three knocks and didn't know why, but felt it was connected to my husband and I somehow. We were all wondering what the knocking sounds were. This is connected to a child that is no longer living and connected to your family. Kind of similar to prior, we were talking to somebody else earlier in the show here, but actually, this is a child connected in a playful way. The knocking is saying, like, almost like, Mom, I'm around. Um, yeah, this is a child connected. So I'm not sure if this is like a pregnancy that didn't make it or something going on here. And now, if it bothers you, you can tell the spirit or the soul just to move on, move back to the direct family members, so you're not scaring people. But it's connected. It's connected to some pregnancies here. So this is a loving way in which the universe always tries to remind us that there is no birth, there is no death, just a continuum of life, and that's part of this experience going on around your family. Seven, hello, Sterling and team. Will the LGBTQ plus IA population ever be accepted and left alone to live their lives they choose without constant hate in this country? Will all people eventually have every right others do without question? Yeah, this is all part of the 3 decade reset that's going on. Remember, all of the extraterrestrial species have been well down this road before. LGBTQIA, they don't think twice about this. This is all part of the lack of evolution of humanity, Homo sapiens sapiens here on Earth. But this is all part of the 3 decade reset. As we get out towards the year 2050, it's going to happen sooner, but this will be obviously much less, not even a factor for humanity. Take my word for it. Six, hi Sterling. When the ET Palladian motherships arrive and we acknowledge them, can we ask them to go for a ride with them? And I think this refers to the fact that in the prediction show I was talking about my team, witnesses, people are going to around the world going to see large scale football field size Palladian motherships much more regularly. Very similar to what people witnessed in Phoenix with the Phoenix Lights event in 1997. But now you won't be able to go for a ride with them. That's not their purpose. There are scientists, military figures, government figures that'll actually go. There are people going to Mars right now, not very well publicized, scientists. So they're effectively going for rides on Palladium motherships and other species, even Arcturan ships, okay? But the average person won't be going for rides. Number five in the countdown. Hi, Sterling and team. Both of my cats passed away in the past 2 years. A few weeks ago, I was in bed and felt a depression on my pillow and then one on my shoulder, as if my cat had walked across me. What did I experience? These were, in fact, your loving cats coming back to visit you. Very common for animals to come back and visit with us at a time of need or just to let them know, reinforce the fact that they're still around. So these are your cats, these are your animals coming back around. Four, if our angels, guides, and loved ones occasionally communicate with us through our dreams, why do we so often forget them? If we do forget them, is there some part of their message that still affects us, even if only on an unconscious level? So you always experience love and support from your loved ones when they're connecting with you in the dream. The fact that you may not always remember that is only part of the equation. You do still feel that love generation, that injection of love, of the harmonious feeling that life is okay. Learning how to remember your dreams is a skill, and there's actually can be taught. There are people that discuss and teach how to remember your dreams. But I wouldn't equate the fact that, let's say, a loved one visits you in a dream, you don't remember the dream, there's no effect on your life. There's a direct effect on your life. That's actually why they're visiting you. A lot of times they're trying to make your life go better in your normal waking state. Three in the countdown. Hi, Sterling and team. When extraterrestrials finally make themselves known, will there be a shift in how humans relate to each other? Will we finally become more peaceful? Yes, not to be redundant, is all part of the 3 decade reset coming up here, 2020, 2050. And, this is the time in the timeline of Earth and Gaia that extraterrestrials need to come back out and kind of get humanity back on track for the next million years, so to speak. So yeah, it's all very true, and that's why they're actually starting to communicate with actually millions of individuals on the planet right now. Number two and number one, the countdown. I always take notes before we start, so let me go through those with you. What do you see coming up next week? Major weather storm events on the East Coast and some parts of the Midwest. Now, this has been on the news, but I want everybody to kind of take precautions, okay? That's the messaging here. Take precautions for the major weather events coming up this week. New lone wolf attacks in New York City, Nashville, and parts of the Midwest. There's something going on. I want everybody that's hearing this in New York City, Nashville, and even parts of the Midwest. Be careful when you're in large outdoor open spaces. Kind of really understand where there's an exit path. And if there are, let's say, authorities listening to these messages, please make sure you have a lot of the large outdoor open spaces protected, okay? Blocked off, whatever you need to do. More information released on election interference by worldwide news outlets, setting the stage for new efforts to uncover election interference by Russia and Iran. Now, we actually had a hot off the press out, I think about a week ago, talking about it was a Reuters news story, Reuters News Network, about the new the U.S. government actually came forward and put together some programs that were then limiting benefits to Russia and Iran based on qualified election interference, right? So there's a continuation. There's more information actually coming out this week. I do see decertification in the works for 45 in the background across many governmental agencies. This is happening in the background, so everybody stay tuned. There's information coming out. Again, here's another element. Large earthquake coming up in California and the west coast of the U.S. I don't see catastrophic, but they look like they're sixes and sevens to me. And there's something in California. There's some more activity happening in California. It looks like coming up this week. A lot of large tremors. And last but not least, kind of new Elon Musk worldwide election interference efforts in Europe. So maybe a different part of Europe. I think it was Germany he was trying to make some efforts in. It looks like there's something else coming up. And number one in the countdown, do you have anything your guys want to share? Do not be apprehensive about sharing your knowledge, gifts, and influence in the world to create positive changes. You have gifts, so do not be afraid to use them. And on that note, that concludes the show being recorded today on Saturday, December 4th, 2025. Again, this will be posted on Sunday, December 5th. I'm sorry, January 5th, 2025. As always, if you need to reach me, go to sterlingpsychicmedium.com, look for the book a session tab. Again, I think May, June, July, and even maybe an August date in there are available. And if you want to join our Platinum membership, there are join buttons on the front page of our YouTube channel and our website, sterlingpsychicmedium.com. You're welcome to participate in the live shows we do on Friday mornings, Pacific time zone, answer a plethora of questions. And then the membership also gives you access to hundreds of instructional videos. So on that note, that's going to conclude the show. I'm going to send out a lot of goodwill and tremendous love to you and your families. Take care. I will see you all again very soon.